Hello and welcome to another episode of Glory of Golden State Gaming. I'm your host, Swamp Swimmer, and with me, as always, the Mary Kate to my Ashley, Vespacian.
That's a great one. Hi, everybody.
So last night, I happened to just be, had some time in my hand. I was flipping through channels, and at that point, I'm always fantasy movies are like my go-to to watch, like my guilty pleasure. And the other night, I watched 300 because I just saw it on Netflix. I'm like, it came on Netflix January 1st, and I'm like, I haven't seen it in a while. And I watched it. I'm like, damn, that's a good fantasy movie. I mean, you can make the argument it's more like ancient Greek movie, but like, a great fantasy movie. Like great action scenes, great color palette, story, acting, the whole thing. And there's another movie that you wanted to see. What was that?
Well, I had a question that I wanted to ask you, but there was that Green Knight movie that you brought up back in the summer, and I just wanted to see if I didn't even know if it came out.
It did come out. It's not on any streaming services as far as I know. I think you just have to purchase it on Amazon or Google Video or something. But I watched it when it came out. Spoiler-free review. It was okay. Wasn't bad. It was better than middling. It was okay. I think the main downfall for it, like the story arc, because since it was based on like literally the Green Knight story from medieval times, the story arc was really old school. Like there was no overarching story arc. The characters were very separate. That was a little distracting for me. But beyond that, like the visuals and like the actor, the Dev Patel was fantastic in the role. In the way like the monsters kind of were portrayed, especially the Green Knight, I thought it was awesome. It was really good. It was good, not really good. Good.
Cool. Okay. Well, maybe I'll check it out when it becomes more available. I know you're a big Conan fan, and I saw this and didn't realize it, but you probably do. But I wanted to check. Did you know that there was a Jason Momoa Conan?
Yeah, there was an attempted reboot with Momoa in like the early 2000s.
Okay.
I watched it. I definitely watched it. I mean, I probably need to rewatch it, but remember it being the classic. It's like the downfall of modern fantasy movies. It's got some great visuals, some great design of the world, like great world building. But the story just wasn't there. The magic that Arnold Schwarzenegger was in the original role wasn't there. It wasn't that good.
Bummer. Yeah, I saw it as I was flipping through looking for the Niners game, and I was like, oh my god, I wonder if Kenyon knows.
And the thing is, I like Jason Momoa too. I think Momoa's great. Like freaking Aquaman, he's fantastic.
Same. Yeah.
But yeah, just the movie wasn't good. And I think that's might be a bigger subject we could talk about. But like modern fantasy movies and some modern sci-fi movies, there's too much emphasis on the world building, the colors, the pop of the movie, how it looks, and that's important, of course. But like the story is just lacking. Like the number one that come on top of my head is the Ghost in the Shell movie. The Ghost in the Shell is like my favorite anime probably ever, and the movie looked beautiful, but the story was just so bad. The acting wasn't good. Like, so frustrating. That was so frustrating. But I think
that's why the mini series format has kind of overtaken the movie format for fantasy and sci-fi, more fantasy. But like I think that like you both have to teach your audience like what the heck is happening and all this, and kind of bring them along into understanding like kind of what's at stake and what's going on in the world, and then you need to get them bought in on the development and about the characters, and all of that is hard to do in a 2-hour movie, right? So
I completely agree. That's a good point. But hey, let's get into the battle report. We are in.
Yeah. This is not a movie review channel.
We're in round 5 of the North American Team Championships in San Francisco, California, which I run myself. That's a lot of beef. Your team had 3 big wins, and then you came up against the spoiler alert, the Ultimate Tournament champions, CGL, and they handed you a loss, unfortunately. But after that, you guys get paired into what team was this? Rick was on Hefe's Mercs, which is led by Jeff Durham, a player known around the country. But you got paired into Rick, who you played round 5, I believe, of Joust, right?
That's right, yeah, and Rick handed my butt to me in the round 5 of Joust, and so I was looking forward to the rematch. I won't say that I engineered the pairings to deliver it, but I was hopeful that it would all work out, because I was hoping to get another shot at Rick, because he's both a good opponent and also you got to try to find some payback. So yeah.
I didn't realize you orchestrated this, which makes it even better, actually.
I did not. I'm saying I didn't, but I was glad that it.
I don't know if I believe you, but we'll continue. Let's see here. If you are interested in Aaron's list or any of his teammates' lists, click the link right above my head. The first one is the list review video, and the second link above my head is the round 1 video of this tournament, where we go into a deeper conversation about Aaron's list. But let's move right on to Rick's list, good old Saurian Ancients. And this is almost the same list. I think it actually might be the same list he took the Joust. So go ahead and go through it for me.
Yeah, he did make some tweaks, actually. I think that made it quite a bit better. So he has the general and the alpha with pair weapons with super decks, Starfall Shard, Crown of the Wizard King, and that along with a couple of other things is where I think he really improved. In Joust, I think he only had 4 spells, which I think that creates some situations where you can't create the must stop that makes it easy for dispel priority. In this, he's now up to 5 spells, which I think is a nice kind of minimum threshold to meet. So he's got the crown there. Same build on the BSB with Spirit of the Stampede and Double Aether Icon, great build. He's got the Wizard Apprentice, Druidism Sun Tablet. This is a big change that I also like. He changed his core warriors to Crocodile. I think last time he had Piranha, and Crocodile is just so amazing in combat, and it just keeps getting cheaper. So, and then Banner of Relentless Company, which helps deal with their issue of speed, right? So, I felt like he'd made some really good changes there. The rest is basically identical. He's got the 2 packs of Raptor Riders, the Ramphidon Riders, the Pterodon Sentries, and then the Salamander and the Stygia with Mystic Traveler.
I think it's a solid list. It's a solid Monster Mash list.
Yeah. And now I've got the big ancient dragon to fight the alpha. So this is Rick. Rick is a huge fan of the channel. You probably see him in the comments section, and he was like, I want to do a cameo. So he went for the pose. And the other thing I will say is Rick, since Joust, the painting got finished on this army, and it looks awesome. I'm pretty sure I voted for Rick as my favorite looking army. So yeah.
If you guys look at the link right above my head, this is now the hobby review of the tournament where Rick's army is showcased. But yeah, if you're interested, click that out. Or click that out. Click that link. All right, we are on deployment in Vanguard.
Yeah, so it's Frontline Clash and Hold the Center, which is the same mission that I played against him last time. Sort of funny how it all worked out. Basically, I end up dropping everything for first turn. I think it makes the most sense from a positioning perspective. So what you have left to right is the lions. And if you go back to that joust game, I deployed in a very similar way. I believe in the
Hell, we
battle
might as
plan.
well. I'm gonna
I've
link
got the
that in the
lions.
battle report up top too. So if you're interested, click the link above my head.
Great. So I've got the lions on the left. Basically, I wanted to have something to zone out that side. Remember, he hadn't dropped anything at the time. The Reavers have vanguarded up there. I've got the Sea Guard with both characters, the Queen's Guard behind, 2 bolt throwers in the center for kind of flexible shooting lanes. The dragon there, sort of positioned to be able to be flexible and move to either side. You got on the right of him the eagle, the spears, and then kind of against the right-hand side of the table, but not all the way in the corner, sort of middle, is the bolt thrower. And that positioning was basically so that I could see around the hill that he's got at the top. I wanted to be able to have some arcs up there if I needed them. And then if we go from his left, or sorry, my left to right, it's got a raptor pack, the salamander, the pterodons that have vanguarded up, the small pack of saurians, the big pack of saurians with the skink priest, the alpha, and then he's got both the Styge and the BSB and the other pack of raptor riders in the back, and he's vanguarded the Ramphidons up into the field there.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah. So then we can move on into my first turn. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. So I missed my first turn picture, but this is now his turn 1 movement. So a couple things. So one, I charged on the right hand side. He'd moved his ramp. If you kind of go back to the last one, it'll be easier to do it from there. On the right hand side, he'd actually given me a pretty reasonable charge. I want to say like a 7 on the dice with the spears and the Ramphidons, and I kind of like that charge. I could overrun out of arc. It gets rid of the Ramphidons, which basically protects the fire base. And was no downside because he didn't really have any counters other than the Ramphidons themselves, which could already charge me. So I went for that. Didn't make it, unfortunately. I bring the ancient dragon
right
around.
here.
You can see the tip of his base. Yeah, playing his great mobile house role, where he's blocked the sight of the Ramphidon so that they can't actually charge anything. And also the positioning was nice because I'm basically zoning the hill. So if he brings stuff up on the hill, which you can now see that he did, it was giving me charges with the ancient dragon. I position and kind of adjust because he didn't really drop anything material on the left-hand side. I reposition the lions to head towards the central objective and bring the Sea Guard up just for shooting ranges and things like that. I put the wizard in the up into the Sea Guard just for range as well. And in my shooting, just pretty poor shooting overall. I managed to kill 1 pterodon and I think just some kind of scattered damage to, like, maybe I'd take off 1 or 2 Saurians or something like that. Just pretty. He'd positioned well, obviously, and didn't give me a lot of a good advantage there. So then he pops relentless and just shoves that crocodile brick straight down my throat, right? And I don't know that there was a really good way to prevent that move. So he just went for it. He brings the pterodons up to chaff the lions so that I don't get that flank charge into the crocodile warriors, which totally makes sense. He repositions his Ramphidons. It's out of frame here, but they're now positioned so that I can't do anything basically to block him from going into my bolt thrower the next turn, which is fine. And then that's base, and then he brings everything up onto the hill and repositions the Stygiusaur a little bit more centrally for swarm of insect arcs and stuff like that. So he did give me, and I can't remember where the next picture goes to, but he did give me some pretty reasonable charges with the dragon into the stuff on the hill. And I did think pretty heavily about going for that because, for example, I could go into the alpha, and that can go my way. I've got a lot of attacks. His alpha hits really poorly, which is, he's the main damage dealer in that fight for him, right? So I thought about that, but let's see where the next picture takes us. Okay, yeah. So clearly, I did not go for the charge. He had a champ in the Raptor unit. Actually, so my thinking there was charge 4 wounds. He's down by 5. If he sticks that, then I'm going to take the alpha in the flank, and I think that is bad news. And so on the off chance that he stuck there, I think going into the alpha, I considered, but then he'd be able to flank me with the Raptor Riders and maybe even get the Torosaur in as a counter charge. So I felt like it was high risk, high reward, and this early I didn't want to go for it. So I bring the alpha back down, or sorry, the Ancient Dragon back down to help zone the center. I take the Lions into the Pterodons on the left. I reposition, I reform and adjust the spears so that I'm defending that wall.
Oh, here.
Facing towards the Ramphadons. Yeah, exactly. And my thinking there was, I'm even happier with that combat if he's charging me into a wall, right? So, and then if he goes into the bull thrower, then I can charge him.
Do you remember which units he marked with the Ramphadons?
So I think he did mark the spears, and maybe the Lions, or maybe the Queen's Guard. I'm not remembering. He did mark them, and we talked about this. He's like, "You want that combat?" And my thinking was, strike first, right? AP2 if he charges me, and I'm wounding on 4s with 21 attacks. I mean, I think the chances are he's only got 1 Ramphadon left to strike at me at that point. I mean, he's gonna do some damage for sure. But,
yeah.
I felt better about.
I'm pretty sure you'll win that combat. Yeah.
He felt like I'd kind of miscalled that one, but yeah, I was happy with it, and so the spears are out of range of all the stuff on the hill, so I was happy with that positioning, even if it looks a little weird. And yeah, that was about it. I bring critically bring the Reavers up to chaff.
Yeah, right in front.
The massive brick of Crocodile Warriors coming down. Yeah. So at this point, I know that I'm giving up the central objective for turn 2, right? Because he's got 2 units, and the Sea Guard are not. In order to avoid the overrun of the Crocodile Warriors into the Sea Guard, I had to keep them out of 6 in the center. So I'm giving up 1 pip on the center, which was a shame. So yeah, that was my turn 2. I think in the actual turn, so in the actual turn, I managed to take off that salamander in the forest, continue doing some work on the Crocodile Warriors, the little unit actually. I want to take that off because that helps swing the balance in the center. And then I think I do a mix of shooting at the Ramphadons on the right, and I think one of my bolt throwers just didn't have a good line to it, and so I had to I shot that over at the Raptors on the left, and I think I just don't do enough wounds to the Ramphadons to actually swing it, so they'll definitely get my bolt thrower, and I think I kill 1 Raptor basically, so not a lot of impact this turn.
All right, let's move on to bottom of 2.
Yeah, so he charged my chaff in the center. You can see I did take that Raptor off on the left. He charges my bolt thrower on the right, and he finds a spot where he can put his Raptors and his alpha out of the arc of my dragon on the right. And I can't exactly remember. I think maybe the alpha was actually still in line of sight. Just out. I can't just remember off the top of my head, but he's trying to slip around the right hand side, and that was about. And he puts the Torosaur up on the hill in the zone, in the center, to kind of threaten charges. So yeah, so he takes off my Reavers and reforms, and now this gets into a pretty pivotal phase of the game, and unfortunately, I do think I missed 1 or 2 pictures in the coming up. So let's see where we're at. Yeah, I think I know where the next one is. Do you mind flipping forward just a second and let me see? Yeah. Okay. So pop back and let me give you a little bit. So this gets so. And if you this got a bit crazy in the middle here, but the Crocodile Warriors take off the Reavers, and maybe they don't kill them all, but one way or the other, they chase them off, and they reform to face my Sea Guard, and he's gotten his Raptors out of line of sight of my Lions on the left hand side there, and so what I do is I charge the Lions into his smaller Brachiosaurus to take them off, which I was happy with. I turn the Queen's Guard to the left because my whole plan here hinges on me being able to take those Raptors off. Uh, and then I reposition and pull the dragon back even further, basically just taking him out of charge ranges of the Alpha and the Raptors over there. And I think I do charge my spears into his Ramphidons. One way or the other, I take those Ramphidons off on the right-hand side, so kind of eliminating that threat. And I think I managed to like kind of overrun or get far enough away that his Raptors can't get to me. And so my thinking here was I reposition the Sea Guard so that if he charges with the Crocodile Warriors into the Sea Guard, I know that he's going to break me, but he won't have an overrun into the Queen's Guard, basically. And the Sea Guard, if it could get away, but basically the idea is I'm pulling his Crocodile Warriors off of the objective. And then I have the Ancient Dragon to go into their flank, right? So I was actually pretty happy with that. I might lose the Sea Guard, which definitely sucks, but then I've got the Lions on the objective, winning the objective that turn, right? And I'm happy if the only counter charges he has at that point for the Lions are his monsters, which bring him in, right? So I was feeling like I could then use the Ancient to pin that Crocodile unit over there, and all I need to do to make that all work out is kill those bloody Raptors on the left hand side. So that's how this all shapes up. So what ends up happening in my shooting phase with an unerring strike and altered side or stars aligned Queen's Guard and both of those remaining bolt throwers, I managed to kill 2 Raptor Riders. Bloody two, which was not great. And now I'm starting to get a little bit nervous because now those Raptor Riders have a rear charge into my Sea Guard, right? And if I had taken them off, right, but now with those Raptor Riders to chase down the Sea Guard, right, he can chase the other direction, for example. It screwed up my plan, basically leaving those Raptor Riders alive. The Lions take off his warriors, fine. And so then we go into his turn, and then he goes, he takes the Stygiasaur, which I didn't really think about, with a 6/6 into the Sea Guard, the big crocodile unit, and then the rear, right? And he makes the Stygiasaur charge in the 6/6, which the Sea Guard are losing anyways, right? But it gets another piece into the middle, which I was like, this is. So I'm having some flashbacks to the joust game at this point, and feeling a bit nervous that things are falling apart around me. So then what happens? So his Crocodile Warriors absolutely do break through my Sea Guard. And the only thing I cared about in that entire combat was to try to kill his champion, which I failed to do, which was a real shame. And I kill no Raptors. I don't do any damage to the Stygiasaur. Rick decides to have me chase up from the Raptor Riders. I know it's a little hard to envision here, but basically running towards his Torosaur, essentially, because I'm kind of angled a bit more, I guess, up and to the left. So he has me run towards his Torosaur. He fails to catch me
with all three.
With all three, fails to catch me, and just coincidentally, all of them rolled very, very low. and it sets up now. Now flip us over to the next one, and I can show you what happens here. So it sets up a really interesting situation. You can now see a couple turns ahead of what happened. The Sea Guard rally, right, and reform into ranks, and they are, and their position there, essentially chaffing the Torosaur, which is nice. He's got no other charges into them. And the positioning of the Raptor Riders, because of where they were in my unit and where they overran, I was able to charge the Raptor Riders with a overrun into the Stygiosaur.
Oh,
There was just
jeez.
nothing you could do about it, right? So I and then I end up being able to do what I'd actually initially planned to do, which was I charged the Ancient Dragon into the Crocodile Warriors with no counter.
And aren't they in a forest?
I don't. I think that's a ruins.
Oh, okay.
Forest.
Well, it still breaks their steadfast, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't break their steadfast. It's just DTs. It's water and forest that break your steadfast. But anyway, so he's there. He actually in his charge into the Sea Guard and then his pursuit has taken a decent amount of DTs to the Crocodile Warriors, and I bring the dragon in and basically pin him there, giving the lions time to eat the raptors, overrun into the Stygiosaur, eat the Stygiosaur, and then overrun into the rear of the Crocodile Warriors. And the pincher of the lions and the Ancient Dragon breaks the Crocodile Warriors, right? And I run them down. And at that point, Rick was up 2 on the mission, but then boom, 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 I win the last 3 on the mission because he's got no more scoring.
Okay, so this is a rule clarification. It was my understanding that a unit that charges, kills a unit, overruns into a second combat, can overrun a second time, but cannot participate in a third combat.
It was sequential turns. So I kill the raptors, overrun into the Stygiosaur, fight that combat the following turn, and then overrun into the Crocodile Warriors. Yes, it was 2 rounds, not 1 round. I agree with you. So I do that, and then you can kind of see over on the right hand side, my heroic spearmen, having taken off the Ramphidons, now play emergency chaff. And they managed to chaff both the Raptor Riders and the Carnosaur in this crucial turn, which was really nice. And then I think this is the last picture, right? No, there's one more. Yeah. Okay. So you can go ahead and fast forward here. So the Torosaur charges in, eats a champ challenge. I resurrect the champion, and so the Torosaur basically is just like constantly churning on this poor champion in the Sea Guard unit, never breaking the steadfast. You can see now after I've hit and killed the Crocodile Warriors, and then so clearly things have
wait. Where's the Alpha? How the Alpha get way over there?
Yeah. So the alpha, this is to add insult to injury to poor Rick at the end here. So the Alpha takes, and the Raptors take off the spears, and he's got the Alpha positioned with a nice charge into the rear of my Ancient Dragon, and you can just see Rick like licking his chops here, because this is redemption, right? Even if I win the objective and took off the big Croc unit, a bunch of other stuff, he can still kill my Ancient Dragon, right? And so and I've got 1 turn. So the Queen's Guard have turned around. I put a boosted unerring strike and just roll real high. Put a boosted unerring strike into the Carnosaur and take 2 wounds off. Right, good start. My bolt throwers manage, in something that they never ever do except for very occasionally. A single shot goes in, hard target, hits, wounds, 3 wounds. So now the Carnosaur is down to 1 wound, and the other bolt thrower misses, and here I am sitting here with my Queen's Guard with flaming arrows, staring at this Starfall Shard, 2-up Fireborn Carnosaur, and I'm like, you know what? This is let's see what happens for all the marbles. They shoot him, they do 2 wounds, and Rick rolls the double one and takes off the Carnosaur with the flaming shooting from the
No,
Queen's Guard.
no, Rick.
Unbelievable.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
so sorry.
yeah. Stranger than fiction. Yeah, yeah. I was like, Rick, I'm sorry, man. Like that was brutal. I mean, honestly, getting him down to 1 wound, like there's no way he makes the
Hmm.
charge at that point. So I would have had half points, but taking him off obviously was just sort of beyond the pale. But yeah, you can even see my eagle there positioned for emergency chaffing duty. But anyway, so that was a huge swing at the end of the game. And I end up with a pretty big win here. I can't remember exactly what the
That's
end was.
a 19's a big win.
Yeah, yeah. He'd gotten both of my chaff things. I think by the end of the game, he'd gotten both chaff pieces. He got a bolt thrower. He got the spears. So he actually picked up a decent amount of points by the end of it. But obviously, getting the alpha and the objective at the end. So yeah, it was a tough run for Rick there in the end of the game. But yeah, good game.
Yeah,
It was sweet
that
for sure.
overall that was a fantastic game. Kind of crazy dice, but good strategy. Do you think his move right here, shoving the Crocodile Warriors up with the Relentless banner onto the objective? Gosh, I feel like that's not a great move, but I can't think of a better one.
Yeah, I think that I ironically I think that the way that all the positioning worked out because of how small his overruns were after he broke the Sea Guard. Um, I think that was actually really, really pivotal because we talked about it afterwards, and actually the thing that I was wanting to have happen might have been a better outcome for Rick, meaning if he had run down towards my side of
Mm-hmm.
the board, right? Um, you know, and then the Crocodile Warriors are away from the objective, but it kind of splits my force, right? And it prevents what actually ended up happening with the Lions, where they were able to just, sort of domino through. Um, and so he left feeling like the big mistake he made was the direction of his pursuit of the Sea Guard, where he felt like if he'd gone down towards my board edge, it would have been a better
Hmm.
outcome for me, or for him, excuse me. But in terms of like whether or not shoving him forward, I don't have a unit that can take that Crocodile Warrior brick off in the front. So I think it was a fairly low risk maneuver for him. Basically he pulls out a chaff piece in turn 2,
Yeah.
right? And because of the positioning, I don't really have a great place to go with the Sea Guard. So it was kind of down to the trick that I was trying to pull of pulling his scoring away and then pinning them with the ancient, right? Um, that was kind of that was the tactic that I had there. But so I don't know if it was what you think it was a bad move to do
No,
that
I don't know.
for him.
Throwing it up there was the right move to go for the secondary. But I feel like you had the tools to turn him around and shoot him. So I think you're
Yeah.
right. I
No,
don't think it
that's
wasn't a bad choice, but it was a bad choice. It was bad dice for him rolling those overruns.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a I think that's a difficult outcome to predict when you make
Yeah.
the decision, right? Of which way to go. I also think if you go back a little bit, I think that I it's all it always maybe one or two more. Yeah, this one. It's always so tempting to have all your stuff on a hill so that it can charge. You know what I mean? But I do think that he could, if he'd had the alpha and the Taurosaur kind of more central, where they could support those central combats. because ultimately his alpha and his raptors, he could have accomplished the same thing with just the raptors, right? He didn't need the alpha over there. I think he was trying to kind of pincher me and envelop. Whereas I think he just would have been better off having everything in the center, which is where the action ended up happening, right? I think that's about the only kind of big piece of feedback, and
Yeah,
just
I
some
think
stuff fell
the
my
other thing is I
way,
think
essentially.
he mismatched the Ramphadons against the Spears. I think that is a bad matchup, and he thought it was a good matchup.
Yeah, they do. The Ramphadons put out a ton of damage against a toted unit, but like if I'm swinging first and doing a decent amount of wounds, I mean, I think I do the 4 wounds that I'd need to bring them down to just one model, and then at that point it's kind of over.
All right,
So yeah,
well,
I agree there.
Rick, you got redemption, or you Vespasian got redemption on Rick.
But as somebody pointed out, he's still up 1 point on me because he 20'd me and I just got
Uh-oh.
19. So it's in the balance.
Well, if
It's in the
anyone's still
balance.
watching, please hit that subscribe button. And this is oh my gosh, how did your team do?
Yeah, so this round I think we capped, or we got a pretty sizable win, which is we would have needed to get a pretty big loss to get unseated from second place, which is how we ended up in second place. CGL kind of ran away with it, obviously, with the win against us in round 4. But we were pretty. Our goal going into the tournament was to podium, and we ended
And
up getting second. So
you
pretty
got
happy
best general,
with
so
the
it's
outcome.
that's
Yeah.
always nice.
That's right. Yeah. And I think, did we end up getting best
You
appearance
did. You
too?
did
I
get
think
best
we did.
appearance
Yeah.
and best general, so congratulations there.
Yeah. Yeah. So good outing for team. That's a lot of beef, and we'll see if we can get the gang back together in the future.
The
So
tournament
more to
went really
come.
well on my part. I'm going to run it next year. So if you guys are interested, if anyone's interested in coming around to San Francisco in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, look for it next year. I'll start setting it up.
Oh, maybe one question of the community. I see some other channels do like an after action report. Sort of like how did their list do? What are their thoughts for for changes, tweaks, things like that? Maybe add a comment or something. Let us know if you'd be interested in a review like that. I don't for future tournaments. I don't know if that's something that
Yeah,
would be
if
of
you guys are interested
interest
in
or
that,
not.
please
But yeah.
throw it in the comment down below, and we'll change to because we like having viewers. So yeah, with
Share,
that,
subscribe.
we'll call it a day. But looking on the horizon, the next tournament we can maybe do is the Masters and do other people's tournaments, games in the tournament.
There's a 1-dayer up in I'm thinking about Sacramento, thinking about trying to make it to that one at the end of
I'm trying to
January. Are
make
you
it
going to
to
make
that
it to that?
also.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if I can swing that with the wife, I will be there. So
All right.
yeah, maybe we can do that one. Otherwise, March to War
Correct.
in the beginning of March.
Correct. Well, if anyone's still watching, again, please subscribe, and we will see you in the next bat rep.
Bye, everybody.